thank you to the student who was able to read the learning objective. So as a learner, I can prepare for group discussions by gathering my own ideas. Very good. So there are a couple of pieces to that learning objective. The thing there is that the word is prepare. So when we prepare, we're talking about getting things in order before we actually need them. So what we're preparing for is group discussions. And because we're going to be in group discussions, and we want to make sure that we have our own ideas about the text before we go into group discussion. Because then if you don't have a starting point of what you think, you kind of get pulled into a million different directions, all right? So let's look at how far we've come. So far we've done a couple of things. You've gotten your grades back, so you should already know how well you're doing with that. Some things that we've already done, we have read the beginning stories in the Greek mythology. So we know about Gaia and Uranus, and we know about Cronus and Rhea and Zeus. So those are kind of our key characters. And then you guys know about the Titans and the ones that got thrown into Tartarus. So we did all of that. You guys are excellent. You know that. We also summarized sections that we've read already. So you guys read sections, you wrote summaries. That way we can always go back and find information quickly. We also analyzed for character traits. So we picked a character, we thought about the things that they did, the things that they said and their thoughts, and we picked traits. And from that, we responded to a short answer prompt. So even though it seems like you haven't been doing a lot, you've been working in a very systematic way, and that's really great. Now let's look into what we're doing this week. This week we're going to be getting familiar with Zoom breakout rooms. So if you consider if we were in a physical classroom, you might move from one classroom to the auditorium. We're going to be doing something like that. So we're moving from Google Meets, and we're going to go into Zoom for our small group discussions, and we'll be doing that tomorrow and Thursday. What we're going to also be doing is looking for repeated themes, repeated topics within the myths, right? So we'll do the think component today, where you will gather your own ideas. And then tomorrow and Thursday, we'll do the pair discussions. And then we'll do the share as well on Zoom on Thursday. And then Friday, we will be reflecting on that experience. I'll get your feedback about what worked for you as a student, and you'll give me feedback about what I can do to improve the experience for the future. So we have a packed week, all right? Very good. Now let's think about what we're doing only today. So now we're going to zoom in on today's experience. Today we're going to be thinking about what we've already experienced with group work. You've been doing group work since the beginning of school. So we're going to think about what that was like for us, what worked and what didn't work. Then we'll talk about the benefits of using Zoom, so I can explain to you why we're moving for certain things. And we'll be talking about what is expected in group work. So what does it look like? What do we want to make sure how do we want to act to make sure that it's as productive as possible? And you'll be completing a survey about the roles that you prefer to play. Please do not complete the survey until we get to that point. Don't do anything ahead of time. And lastly, you'll be doing your independent work and an exit ticket, all right? So that should take us about 15 minutes total to get through the entire lesson, and then you'll go off and work. So please open the document in front of you, the participation document. If you don't know how to access it, just look at the screen. If you go into today's classwork, you'll see ELA 1013, preparing for small group discussions. Open that folder. Inside, you will see all of the documents that we're using for today. So, you want to open the one for participation. It says 8R1, participation 1013. Open that document, please. It is a shared document, so everyone can comment at the same time. And what you are commenting in that document, I see that Eliza has already selected a box. Zoriel has selected a box. We've been doing this since last week, so you guys are really good at that. And your prompt is the following: what have been your experiences with group work? And you can think about your likes or your dislikes. Um, you can think about a success story or a bad experience story. And just take, let me see, let's take about 3 minutes. Let's take about 3 minutes to write those responses. And I know it takes a minute because the screen keeps jumping around. It's technology, we're all using Wi-Fi, so let's be patient with each other and with ourselves. All right, seems like we've had a lot of good experiences. I am gonna ask one person to share at the end after you've written and you're comfortable. I am gonna ask one person to share aloud. All right, positive group experiences, that's good. So I'm gonna keep the good things and I'm gonna work on the bad things tonight. Yeah, waiting on your partner to do some things can be a pain. I agree. All right, losing focus. Definitely, group work can get off task, especially if you're in a group with your friends, because you know you love your friends. All right, I see someone saying that they get more ideas that they didn't think of. Brilliant. Take another minute to add your thought in. I don't see as many names on the board as I have in chat, so make sure that you are participating. But these do look a whole lot better than last week. See, we're getting better already. Good job. Okay, you get help if you're confused. All right, so I'm going to need one person to share. If you can, just unmute your mic and share for me your experiences with group work. No one is talking. Does that mean you're still so immersed in this assignment? Or am I just not hearing? Can you guys hear me clearly? Okay, if you're hearing me, I don't know because no one is. Okay, you can hear me. Very good. Thank you. All right, can one person please share aloud? That's why I'm thinking no one can hear me because no one has. I can't hear you. I think you're right. So someone is speaking? All right, can we try again? All right, so someone is talking and I can't hear. So that's one of the glitches that I'll work on. So let's just go through with the lesson. I do have your responses on the document, so we'll work on that glitch. Thank you for calling my attention. You guys are so diligent. I appreciate it. I really do. You're helping me to learn every day. All right, let's move into the next thing. So let's talk a little bit about why we're moving into Zoom. I have my daughter uses Zoom and a couple of my friends use Zoom, so I want to make sure that I try it out to see what my experiences are like. All right. So from what I gather, Zoom is a safer video chat platform. It is safe against intruders because I'm able to lock the room after a certain time, and the links are only sent to people who are supposed to be there. So there's that control issue. There's a waiting room, so kids can't come in too early and take host controls. It also keeps a participant list, which means that I can tell when you come into the room, I can tell how many times you log off, and I can tell how long you've been in the meeting. So that is a great thing. And because of the timestamp, I'm able to kind of have that paper trail of who's really coming into our live sessions and who isn't. Another benefit of Zoom is that it facilitates cooperation. Right now we're using Google Meets, so we're not able to get into small groups and discuss without hearing everybody else. When we use Zoom, we'll be able to use what's called breakout rooms. And these breakout rooms are timed, so I can say work for 5 minutes in your group and actually stop the group when it's done. I'm able to come in and out of groups, so I'd be looking at 6 different groups at the same time, and I can pop in and listen and pop out and go to the other group. And my reason for wanting to try this right now is because it's really hard to talk in a whole group setting. You know, I get nervous at times, especially if I know a lot of people are listening to me. So if it's a smaller group, I'm more likely to share my ideas until I get more comfortable and confident in sharing my ideas. All right? Now let's talk. This should take me about 2 minutes. Can you guys hear? Yeah, of course you can hear me. Let's talk about group work for a little bit, and I'll share my own experiences. I'm not necessarily a fan of group work. I often end up doing too much work. I often end up picking up other people's slacks, or when it's time for presenting, the presenter is not giving all of the information that they should. So I've had some negative experiences with group work, but I've also learned a lot. I've learned a lot about my own determination and how seriously I take my work, and I also gather ideas from other people, and I get different techniques that I might not have thought about. And some people are more creative and do all the pretty stuff, and I learned that from them as well. So group work can be a good and a bad thing. Now, Aisha, please. Now, let's talk about what we expect in group work and what are the norms of behavior, okay? So we have to allow everyone to speak. Everyone has an idea, which is why we're gathering our thoughts today. So everyone will be able to share something. You want to listen respectively and actively. You can't zone out when someone's talking to do someone else. Don't gang up on a person. Criticize the idea or talk about the idea, but do not talk about the individual. Don't attack the individual that's speaking. Talk about the ideas. Commit to learning and not arguing. We all disagree. We don't agree on everything, but when we're going to disagree, there's a way to do that where we're not hurting anyone's feelings or making anyone feel invalidated. We want to avoid blame. We don't always get it right. It doesn't mean that you should say it's your fault. And we don't want to assume things about people. We don't want to use inflammatory language. We don't want to be hurtful, and we definitely don't want to curse, because I'm paying attention, right? I'm coming into the groups. Lastly, we want to avoid any discrimination. We don't want to make any assumptions about someone based on what they identify as. We're just going to treat people as people, and that is the order of the day. So respect is really what group work is all about. Respect and participation, and just, working towards a shared goal. Now, there are roles that you're going to be choosing from today. That's the next thing that we're going to be doing. Let's talk about what those roles are. So there is a facilitator role, and that's what we call the leader. So the leader is going to make sure that the group stays on task, that the task is focused, or the group is focused, and that everyone is in the conversation. So if someone is not speaking, you might say, do you have something to share? Or what do you think of this idea that someone might have put out there? So that's the group leader, the facilitator. Then we have to have a recorder, someone who's really good at keeping notes, jotting down the ideas, condensing the ideas. So you'll be perfect at summarizing. And that recorder needs to keep a record of the critical points in the discussion so that we can go back to it, all right? We have to have a presenter. Someone has to be comfortable to speak aloud, to share the ideas that the group came up with about whatever they were discussing. And lastly, I need one person who will commit to letting me know about what worked well and what didn't work so that I can make changes to group work in the future. So if you could please just go into that group preference survey. It is in your folder for today's assignment. It is this group role preference survey. If you guys can just take 2 minutes to do that. It's just a 2-minute task. So again, you're putting your name, your class, and what role you would prefer to play. If you want to be a facilitator, I'll put those roles up again and what they mean. So the facilitator is the leader. The recorder takes notes. The presenter presents the ideas aloud or shares it to the group. And the analyst is responsible for tracking behavior, success, and hindrances. So take another 2 minutes, maybe one. Remember that I can't hear you, so if you're talking to me, I really apologize. I have to fix that issue. I'm not sure what it is. All right, if you could just comment in the chat for me if you have finished the form, if you finished the survey, if you could comment in the chat for me because I can't hear you. Okay, Jarieli finished the form. All right, finished the survey, all right. If you haven't finished, just take another quick minute to do so. All right, sounds like most of you are done. Very good. And now we're almost at the end of our class time today. So let's just get through the last of it. Feels good to be close to the finish line. All right, so let me just explain the assignment for today before you go off. And remember that there's also an exit ticket, so don't leave before the exit ticket. So today you're going to be skimming the myths that we've been reading. And you're going to be looking for textual evidence. So that's all that we're doing today is looking for textual evidence. I'll show you that assignment. So when you go into the assignment, the independent work is right here. I always try to do an example for you. So let's see. When you open the independent work, you have the directions at the top. So you're going to need the 3 myths today, and I have included those in your folder for you. You are going to be looking for examples for the following topics today. So let's look at my example at the top, love. If love were the topic that I wanted to look through in the text, I would find the example of when Rhea expected her 6th child. She asked Mother Earth to help her save her child from her father. That to me is an example of where love shows up in the text. You're going to be doing the same thing for revenge, for fear, for power, for surrender, for loyalty, for deception and trickery. All right? So you're going to go into the text, find an example of revenge. You're going to write it word for word, what the text says, and then you're going to move on to fear. And you're going to do that until you have done the entire assignment. All right? And that needs to be done today. It will be graded today because we need it for group work tomorrow. Later, I will send you the information about Zoom. I just have to troubleshoot a couple of things. Now, the last thing that we're going to do before we leave with the exit ticket, go back to the participation document, open the green box, and comment about what's the suggestion, basically, sorry. I want you to make a suggestion about what would make group work better. So once you have written that comment in the green box, all right, I see Jarieli started, Emma started, Miriam started, Zuriel is now writing his name, very good. Once you have done that, then you just come back in the chat and you put goodbye. And once you put goodbye, you can leave. But do not leave before doing this document and putting bye in the chat. Don't leave yet.